Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now, Dal Fury, McDonnell blast wrong budget as Minister admits working families failed, and Harris confirms tax cut plan amid cost pain. Mary Lou McDonnell dashes and also clashes with Michael Martin in Dal as workers squeezed by price hikes even further. Now, in continuance to that, questions from opposition leaders on their representatives to the government. Mary Lou McDonnell has blasted the government for making the wrong call in budget 2026 after Minister Jack Chambers admitted it did not deliver for workers. So what does that tell you? She told Taoiseach Michael Martin that the public expenditure minister had finally admitted out loud what Sinn Féin had been saying for many months, over and over. So Mary Lou McDonnell said budget 2026 did absolutely nothing for ordinary working people. Yeah. Spot on there, yeah. Thousands of Irish people. Extremely disappointed with all the bullshit that's been going on. Taoiseach Michael Martin said Sinn Féin had ignored the impact of war in the Middle East, and they're still using the war, as well as Donald Trump and the Ukraine, as an excuse to not help the Irish, all the veterans, all the elderly, all the hard-working families. Now, what does that tell you? Taxpayers' money is more important to them to fill their pockets to have this luxury life. Speaking during leaders' questions today, the Sinn Féin leader was referring to Chambers' comments yesterday, basically that the budget 2026 didn't give workers a break. No one's had a break for a long time because they had to deal and put up with your bullshit constantly, over and over again. It was also said that it would have to be a top priority in budget 2027 as Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael lined up basically to offer income tax cuts for PAYE workers. And how many times have they discussed that over the years, and it hasn't happened? In the Dáil, obviously today, McDonnell told Martin there was real anger amid working families paying their way and yet falling further behind with each passing week, especially with all these inflations and increases in every bill that families have, just making it harder and squeezing them even more, which is absolutely fucking bollocks, to be honest with you. She also said their own minister finally saying out loud what we have been telling you basically for months on end. What have you been denying for six whole months? Michael Martin and Harris are not going to finally listen. They're just going to keep on blanking everybody. So basically all the taxpayers' money comes to a total of 9.4 billion, and that's their budget, they say. They don't have a budget. If they had a budget, they would tell us directly and make it very clear. All the billions, even millions, etc., and so on and so forth, trillions, going to other countries, supporting them in regards to nuclear warheads and different weapons of mass destruction, and even supporting Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine to give him a rich life. 94 billion budget did absolutely nothing for ordinary working people. In fact, it left them worse off, because Michael Martin and Harrison Connolly all enjoying Paddy's Day, celebrating with Donald Trump and giving him millions and millions of euro as a gift from taxpayers in Ireland. The Dublin Central TD claimed the last budget drove deeper anger and frustration across the state. That's why we have these protests, and they're going to keep on continuing regardless. Mary Lou McDonnell also stated as prices were rising and still are, bills were mounting and still will be, while working families were under the most severe pressure. There's been times that it has to be withdrawn from supports. Basically, you abandoned your election promises one after another, and you left people high and dry, and a lot worse. You had the resources, Taoiseach stated, and you made the wrong call, and now the consequences are everywhere. And hopefully this will come to a final end with Michael Martin and Harris, and hopefully they'll be booted out the fucking door. Now, in conclusion, workers squeeze, households stretch to breaking point, people cutting back on basics and making impossible choices, even sacrifices. Mary Lou McDonald blasted the government for failing to cut the controversial universal social charge while increasing school transport and state exam fees. In conclusion, McDonald continued, it seems no matter how hard it gets, Fianna Fáil and Michael Martin are quite happy to let people struggle on. Yeah, you can say that again. Struggle on. While they just live a lap of luxury and just watch us and laugh and snigger under their breaths, looking at us like we're pathetic. People won't tolerate that anymore. And Mary Lou McDonald's going to make sure it doesn't happen. We certainly hope so. A lot of Irish people certainly hope that Mary Lou McDonald can deliver and keep our word. Martin said that Sinn Féin had ignored the war in the Middle East's impact on fuel prices and said Sinn Féin didn't believe in targeting measures to those most in need in the budget. Always the war. Nothing else they can think of. They'll find any excuse they can to not help the Irish. As far as I'm concerned, they can go and fuck themselves. Referring to caps on energy bills, Martin hit out, you have the similar approach to former British Prime Minister Liz Truss in terms of the energy question. And the same with Keir Starmer, always avoiding the issue at hand and redirecting and rebounding every simple question. The Fianna Fáil leader told the Dáil that public expenditure would increase by 8.6% under budget 2026 and had looked to prioritise housing while also putting a huge investment into infrastructure. More bullshit after more bullshit. They also continued, that's not failing anybody, that's a very, very high increase in investment in public services that all workers benefit from and families and people will generally benefit from. But instead, all the squeezing that they do more and more, the more they profit. It's also stated that the state pension was increased by €10 weekly. Child supports were hiked in order to tackle child poverty, and €500 million was allocated to disability services. And more lies after more lies. They haven't done nothing at all. Martin added, remember the most important things always in life is that we have an economy that can provide jobs to people. That's besides the point. And you're missing the point. People need a lot more than just words. They need you to talk to them. Speaking at the launch of the Department of Finance annual progress report, basically yesterday, Harris vowed to provide relief for PAYE workers in budget 2027. Now, in conclusion, he said, we as a government are committed to a personal income tax package in the budget. It's all about a budget, this budget, that, bullshit. The Finance Minister said the size of the tax package would be outlined in July's summer economic statement. Just delaying and more delays. Also stated, and that was added, they believe that a personal income tax package is important in terms of assisting in people in keeping a little bit more of their own money and making sure that works in other ways to benefit people who are struggling. Asked about income tax on Wednesday morning, Chambers said helping low to middle income workers was a priority for the budget on Tuesday, October the 6th, coming. So, in conclusion to that, it was also mentioned they know that how the Irish people are feeling the pressure in the context of decisions that are made from the government in last year's budget, where it was sought to prioritise housing correctly in different views and enhance viability in housing in the crisis. Also, what was stated, they'll try and revert back to prioritising reducing the burden for workers, and they think that it would be a top priority to help those struggling the most. And how often do you hear that one excuse after the other? They think we're that stupid that we're going to fall for what they say. It's not happening. And then Finance Minister Pascal Donohoe said while unveiling Budget 26, there was limited scope for significant personal tax changes, but said the government will stand by progressive changes for income tax over its full term. That's a load of bollocks, and we know it. Labour leader Ivana Basic also accused the government of a lack of forward planning and said the millions of euro worth of a bailout for the Department of Education to cover special education was all over the place. Yeah, you can say that again. Also stated that while the 430 special education places were made available this year, the shortfall was 600. Also told was basically coming from Nadal, it was mentioned the 650 million bailout for the Department of Education as if it was something to be proud of, but the fact that the bailout was necessary yesterday is exactly the problem. See, one direction after another, one excuse after another. Then they're seeking a lack of planning, a lack of forward planning, and then this bailout is all over the place. Taoiseach Michael Martin and Harris haven't got a clue. Going backwards and forwards, going around in circles, thinking they can fool the Irish community and the Irish people. We're not as stupid as you think. So, in conclusion to that, saying how did Michael Martin and Harris are saying they did not know that the money would be required. You know the number of children who require additional school places, as well as the funding basically for all the families that are struggling. Martin said there were to be 286,000 special needs assistants this year, and the teacher ratio would be 1 teacher and 2 SNAs to every 6 pupils. Also, in conclusion, he said the overall budget for special education is growing significantly. Cabinet has approved 650 million extra current funding for education, and a significant amount of that directed towards accommodating special education. Now, how much of that do we believe? Absolutely nothing. It's unreal what the government are thinking, let alone saying. So in conclusion to that, I don't believe a single word, to be honest with you, and we shouldn't. And all the local boys and farmers out there, carry on protesting regardless. And keep up good work, lads. And thank you very much for watching my video content. If you'd like to see more uploaded, please like, subscribe and follow my channel.